Never miss another live stream again. Hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and click see all notifications. What's the motherfucking deal? Y'all let me know if that fucking fan is too loud. If it's a little overwhelming there. What's the motherfucking deal, man? Nah, that's absolutely not right. We can get this bitch started to about damn near 5 minutes in. Let's get that properly accounted for. But what's the motherfucking deal, Sauce Nation? It's your boy Ed Honcho. This is Sauce Sports. If you're not familiar with Sauce Sports is a Houston, Texas Homer network. So that means we're talking all sports, but only Houston. I have a special guest joining me this evening, Mr. Hector Flores.
What is up?
What's the motherfucking deal, Mr. Flores? And if y'all are not familiar with Mr. Flores, he is a member of the round table, but he's also a very busy man. Hector Flores is the reason why a lot of us get to do we're saving the round table for Friday. The reason why a lot of us get to enjoy some of the things that we do at the Houston sports game. You know, if you like the T-shirts and all the lovely stuff that the Rockets give in pre-games, you know, Hector is the man responsible for that. So we need to give Hector a bit of thanks and gratitude. He also does plenty of work with the Astros. He's been holding it down, a World Series ring owner. So shout out to Hector, man. Holding it down, does a lot for the city, man, and I greatly appreciate it, and I hope the rest of the fans appreciate it too, because these things don't place themselves, man. These things don't happen on their own. And again, like I say, a student, a veteran, this man does a lot and is a guy to be appreciated. And so I'm glad to finally get a chance to, you know, get some one-on-one and talk some Houston sports with Mr. Hector Flores. And if you guys are not subscribed to his channel, man, check it out. It gives great takes. Definitely on Dynamo Astros. Y'all know that's where my biggest weaknesses lie. And so that's why I was saying I post some tweets, things that we're going to talk about, some things that we normally do not cover in the sauces. So we're going to talk a little Astros, we're going to talk a little Dynamo, of course, we're going to talk Rockets and Texans. That's just what we do. That's just what happens. That's how it exists. I have an old ticker on here, so don't pay any attention to the fucking ticker bar there. I guess I didn't change that before the thing, so we'll just get rid of that. So just act like y'all didn't see none of that shit. I forgot. With Heidi, I got to use my Spanish. Hector Flores. Okay, I gotta use my. She gonna get on me if I come with the country twang. Well, let's see who we got in the mix, man. Let's shout out. You know how we do this thing, man. First and foremost, y'all guys are the freshest motherfucking ingredients in the world, and there is no sauce, there is no flavor without y'all. So the least that I can do, show y'all a little bit of love, and so we're gonna get the roll call going. And if you're not familiar with the roll call, man, if you are from Houston, man, shout out your side with pride. If you from the south, you from the north, east, west, in the middle, Edo, wherever you're from, however you represent, you know what I'm saying, whatever side you know, you in the park, you in the sunny, you know, you in the SWAT, wherever you may be representing, man, show a little bit of love. If you're not from Houston, man, what I need you to do is, you know, let me know where you're from, man. Let me know what you represent, your latitude, longitude, your avenue, state, block, hood, city, cul-de-sac, you know, country, continent, you know, planet, whatever, you know. If you're from another galaxy, some of y'all motherfuckers do be acting and looking like some aliens, so y'all might not be from this planet, so you may identify as something else. You know, we live in a day and age where all that stuff is cool. You may identify as a typewriter. So if that's how you get down, man, hey, you know, let me know how to shout you out just a little bit so I can show y'all a little bit of love. But what's that? Bikini bottom, goddamn. So I can show y'all a little bit of love, man, because that's what it's all about, man. I appreciate y'all for always fucking with the flavor. So I see Heidi in the mix, JPack, Wise, Hector, Voodoo, Miss Voodoo C, a couple that mods together. I'll think of something before the end of the show. I usually have something to go with that. I'm honestly, I know Pedro's doing all the work, and y'all are taking credit for Pedro's action, but we'll get into that at another time. Miss Voodoo C, Ed, man, what's the motherfucking deal? Let's see, Wise, what's the motherfucking deal? Pigskin Pete, what's the motherfucking deal? Darren Davis, that boy Swisher in the motherfucking house. Ready to coon. It said, the coon says, I'm the only Mexican born in Mexico that doesn't give a fuck about soccer. Oh, that's unfortunate, man. Let's see. Did KD ruin the NBA? Probably. Rising Phoenix, what's the motherfucking deal? Braden Foster, what's the motherfucking deal? T. Flores, Jacob Lee, already. Devontae Love, what's the motherfucking deal? I see South Park, prods together. I was going to say that. I was going to say prods together, but that's, Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, that could go so many different ways. You may be prodding cows or other things. I don't know. We're just not gonna get into that. That sounds like a Christian conversation. But Beast Mode Engage. What's the motherfucking deal? El Paso. Okay, Sharpstown already. Let's see. Quadrant 47-B. Oh man, you don't want to go there. I heard I thought that was like space jail. Corruptina. Bikini Bottom, Dilly, Texas, already. South Park and the motherfucking hills. Buenos Aires. I meant to send you something about Buenos Aires I was reading today, but I'm remind me after the stream to send you that. Oh shit, Mike Vrabel in the mix. What's the motherfucking deal? But anyway, that's enough love for y'all. Y'all can get some more love later. Let's get to make sure we got the bank open and everything. And so I want to talk about some stuff, Hector. You know, like I say, you're much more knowledgeable in these areas of soccer and baseball than I may ever be. But like I say, steadily, slowly but surely working on it. I catch your stream from time to time. You always drop some good stuff. In halftime, I may not know what players and things they were talking about. So first, let's dive into let's talk about the champs. Let's talk about the champs, the reigning champs. Let's talk a little bit of baseball. Right now, I hear a lot of things, and like I say, I don't really put my opinion on a lot of stuff because I'm not in a position where I can say this team is better than that team. I'm not a guy who can really judge pitching. You know, I'm still kind of getting familiar more so with the positions and their entire purpose and things like that. This is a homer network, but from a fan's point of view, a realistic fan, because I know you're not a Houston homer all the way around. I know you're a fan of some other teams. How good are the Astros truly this year?
Yeah. All right. Just to put it in some perspective, they're actually one of the best defensive teams in the MLB. They're actually first in opponent batting average, first in runs allowed, first in walks. So they've only I think they average 2 walks a game. They lead the league in they're first in strikeouts per game. They're the fewest in errors. I mean, they're all around. They're the best defensive team. They're also ranked 5th in batting average. So I mean, the Astros they're pretty consistent, especially on the defensive side. It's just that currently right now with the Astros is their pitching keeps them in the game. But sometimes the bats just don't click, and then, you know, you keep the team. You let the opposing team come in the game. They'll come in. But I mean, the Astros are doing pretty good. I mean, they're second in the AL West. It's still early in the season, anyways. I won't be concerned about positioning until after July.
Okay. Now, something I just noticed. I want to say yesterday. What was it? Yesterday, I believe that they had the draft. And they picked up Bregman and Correa's siblings. Now, how, like I say, me, a guy I'm not especially not familiar with how the baseball draft works, and I think there's significantly more rounds than the NFL draft, if I'm not mistaken, or I may have heard that wrong. How if you could give an explanation for people like me who may not be so familiar with how that works, and I'm not sure if you're super familiar with it, but how does that draft process work in the game of baseball?
I mean, it's the same like most other sports. I mean, it is probably a longer draft. I don't know how long I've sat through an MLB draft before. I don't think I've ever actually sat through the MLB draft. But I know that, I think the furthest I've ever heard was someone, get picked in the 26th round. So it goes for a while. You just got to think about when it comes to baseball, there is a ton of leagues. There's a lot of minor league systems all the way down to, single A. So, I mean, with younger players, a lot of them, just like Carlos Correa and just like Alex Bregman did, went to the single A, then went up to double A, and then triple A. Now they're, World Series champions. So, and they actually did a promo for MLB Network actually for the draft. And it was Correa kind of doing this whole thing that they just started out as a name kind of thing. Okay. It was a pretty good promo.
Okay. Very interesting. So, now a name that I've heard floating around a lot, Tucker. What can you tell me about Tucker?
Man, Kyle Tucker is, well, for one, his older brother used to play for the Astros. We actually got rid. He's not a good fielder, and his bat every now and then comes in clutch, but not to the point where you want to keep him. He's actually now with the Atlanta Braves, but Kyle Tucker is above and beyond better than his brother. And every day you see his stats, especially when I keep up with him over what he's doing right now in Fresno, which is our AAA team, and he's still being the hot bat and great fielding ability. And I think at some point you want to see him get called up. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably call him up sometime after the All-Star game. depending if there's an injury comes up. But like right now, the team is just stacked, especially in the outfield, to the point where we don't really need him.
Okay. See, A-Man brought up another point I wanted to ask too, and I saw recently, Houston, for some reason, we love Clemson players across all the major professional sports leagues. What is it, Beers kid? Was it Seth Beers? Okay, Seth Beer. Yeah, I like beers, but hey, we'll take one beer. One beer is good. But Seth Beer, how good is this kid? Like, I mean, what do you see his ultimate potential being?
Picked was really shocking to me because this kid is probably one of the best hitters in college baseball right now, and for him to go all the way down to where we were, that was just great luck. We kind of have to start making plans. He can play first base, but he can also play in the outfield, and that's the thing about the Astros. We like versatility here. We like guys that can play more than one position. But when we're talking about a guy like Yuli Gurriel, who last year was technically his rookie year, but the dude's like 33 years old.
Oh, shit.
And so it tripped me up when I saw that he got AL Rookie of the Month like last season. I was just like, wait, what?
That's funny.
But, yeah, he's a great player, but, he's going to get up there in age. And Seth Beer's definitely kind of like that plan for the future once, Gurriel hangs it up. And then, but we still have plenty of prospects. It's going to be – we'll probably see Beer like in single A with the River Cats, but I think he's definitely an exciting one to come up.
Okay. Now, yeah, I saw something. I see you. I'm glad you mentioned that, Heidi. Talking about the Mark Apple, and I saw that story. This was a few months back, and I remember actually hearing about it when he was first picked up. That there was kind of an issue with him, and I can't remember exactly what it was. I definitely wasn't paying too much attention to baseball at that time. What was that whole situation with that Apple kid?
So Appel, he was just that. It was kind of looked at as if he was going to be the the prime time pitcher for us, and it just never worked out. So we ended up trading him to Philadelphia, and he just never came up to the majors. So once he noticed that, he just kind of called it quits, and it's unfortunate because he did look very exciting. He looked like a very good prospect, and he's one of the few number one draft picks to not pan out.
Okay. Because with baseball, so you kind of it's almost more of a sure thing, you say, maybe with the draft picks as far as kind of where guys end up getting picked, they kind of tend to pan out more so maybe than you would say football, more of a guessing type situation, or it's kind of a crapshoot either way.
It depends on how the ball club works. Most of them, just like the Astros, because this is kind of what Lundhouse envisioned the Astros to be, was just utilizing the draft, using the prospects, and we ended up becoming one of the top farm systems in the MLB, alongside with like the Chicago Cubs. And I mean, Chicago 2 years ago won the World Series, so you can see a lot of the teams that are on the farm system seeing their young players to fully develop and become these primetime players that they are now. It's working out. I mean, we're also a very small market team. We don't have a lot of money. We're not the Yankees. We're not going to be able to buy everybody that we want like they do, even Boston for that matter. And so for us, it makes sense to use our prospects. And I mean, there's that loyalty that comes with it, especially when you see like Jose Altuve that extended to like a 5-year extension after these 2 years that he's done.
Okay. Would you mind explaining the farm system a little bit? 'Cause that's something I've heard a lot about. I just don't know exactly how it works, and I know it's about kind of, I guess, retaining your talent and seeing how they pan out, but I don't know the exact details. Would you mind kind of going into that just a little bit?
So farm system pretty much is the best way to explain it. Like for basketball, it's the D League. So you send your guys that are not developed, you send them down to the D League, or I guess now it's called the G League. So you send them down there, you let them work, at least get them playing time, especially minutes that they won't get when they're with the team. And so that's how the farm system works. So there's, like I said, a plethora of leagues from Triple A all the way down to Single A. So there's a lot of opportunities for these guys, and I mean, if they're good, they'll come up to the league real quick. If they still need some fine tinkering, a little bit slower. You'll see pitchers more often taking a little bit longer to be developed through the farm system. One of the big prospects that the Astros have right now is CNL Perez, who right now finally got called up with Corpus Christi. So he's actually doing pretty well over there right now.
Okay. Okay, good deal, good deal. So here's my deal. We got talking about somebody that's 15 or 16 that they talking about they signed. I'm gonna transition just a little bit because, like I said, I want to make sure we cover.
Oh, that's Jose
Altuve. Huh? Oh, that was Altuve.
Jose Altuve wasn't drafted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jose Altuve wasn't drafted. So what happened with Altuve's story is that the camp that the Astros were doing. The Astros have a lot of ties to Venezuela. Obviously, like Marlon Gonzalez and Bueno. So we have a lot of ties to Venezuelan players. And so Altuve went to the baseball camp, but at the time, he was 15, but no one believed him. So the Astros actually denied him from coming into the camp because they're like, there's no way in hell you're 15 years old. You look a lot younger because he's just a tiny dude.
Yeah.
And so the next day he shows up with a birth certificate to the camp, falls out, and, now he's the franchise player of the Houston Astros.
No, he's a motherfucking man. I want to transition a little bit. I just want to make sure we cover some things that we don't get to cover. We're going to come back to some Astros talk. There's a couple of things I want to touch on. Let's talk about the Dynamo just a little bit. Now, Heidi has some type of angst with MLS soccer. She told me it's just nowhere on the level of the big boys. What is that? The Premier Leagues and things like that. But we're still gonna talk about it anyway, whether Heidi likes it or not. She don't run this shit. She don't run no damn sauce. She don't stir up that much fucking flavor. Talk about the Dynamo. Now I know the Dynamo from my casual observation they've seemed to have been a consistent team. That they consistently seem to make it to the playoffs. Like I said, I don't know how exactly the format works with soccer, but I know it's more of a point system as opposed to how many games you win, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
It comes into it. So a win would be considered 3 points, 1 point, and then you don't get anything for losing.
Okay. All right.
So the point system is just a little bit of just like accumulating the wins and ties.
Okay. So with the Dynamo, and that same question now we kind of asked with the Astros, kind of taking the homerism out of it and then taking the hometown thing out of it. How good are the Dynamo this year?
Currently they're 7th place in the Western Conference. They're still kind of figuring themselves out as far as defensively. The back four isn't really as well knit as it should be, and that's the one position group that you want to have some continuity. You want good communication with, especially when you have the guys up front that they have with Albert Feliz, Mauro Manotas, and Romel Kyoto, who are just speed demons and can easily score goals for you. But it's just that when you're defending so deeply and you hold the ball for so long, it's just not the style what the Dynamo should be playing. They're more of like fast track, just get the ball up there and let them score a goal. And it all starts with the defense. The 2 goalkeepers that the Dynamo have been using, Joe Wills and Chris Zaitz, it's just that the back four doesn't help them enough. So then we've already seen Chris Zaitz get orange up because of the back four in there. And I would say they're not. I wouldn't say they're consistent because they win, then they lose. There's just once they have like it all clicking, they'll be back. Right now they're competing for a 6 spot, which gets you into the playoffs. So they're doing pretty well. I think they'll definitely make a strong push at the end. I think they'll be definitely a decision day team to see who will make the playoffs.
Okay. Now you mentioned something about the goalkeeper and guy losing his starting job. And I was reading something about that. Someone they had picked up just recently. This was actually probably maybe a couple of months ago. I think they had a guy that had maybe a domestic violence issue or something like that, or some type of domestic issue. I can't remember if I like I say it's been a while since I read it, and I'm not sure exactly what was going on with that. But can you kind of expound upon that, or are you familiar with what I'm speaking on, or does that seem kind of vague?
Yeah, so Tyler playoffs actually. Mm-hmm. So Tyler Derry got involved with, I guess, a domestic abuse incident. Was arrested, I believe, and came out of the. So he was in the Western Conference Finals, but they actually put in Joe Willers. He did a pretty good job, but like the goalkeepers for the Dynamo currently have
World Cup
keepers, but they definitely need their defense to support them. There's not that many goalkeepers in anywhere in the world that can stand alone, keep you in the game. Your defense still has to provide you some support. But he's, as far as I know the Dynamo re-signed him, but I haven't heard of him working out with the team.
Okay. So historically, now the Dynamo, when was the last time that they won it all?
That was 06, 07.
06, 07.
No, their first year.
Okay, so first year. So, like I say, I'm definitely not familiar with what's been going on. So, have there been many changes? Like, what changes have taken place within that organization as far as, you know, major key pieces as far as players, coaches, or things like that have changed from, you know, when they were a winning organization to now where they seem like, say, because if I'm not mistaken, they made the playoffs last year. And I forgot who it was they lost to. I was halfway keeping up with it. And, like, I mean, are there any major things that have taken place within that organization that you see has caused them to kind of fall out of that ranking, or anything that you see that they would need to do to kind of get back into that prominent position? What would you recommend?
Well, since the Dynamo came to Houston, the one thing that they had consistently was Dominic Kinnear, who was their first coach, and they had him for a very long time. With him, they were almost in the playoffs every single year. You know, even from the times that they got eliminated, they had 2 championships with him. They had 2 Eastern Conference Finals championships under Dominic Kinnear, as well as 2 Western Conference championships, and obviously 2 MLS Cups. But I mean, it was just that once Dominic Kinnear decided to resign from the Dynamo because he wanted to go to San Jose, where it all started for him. Then obviously Brian Sheen, who was the star of the Dynamo for a very long time, ends up retiring. Brad Davis ends up getting traded to Sporting Kansas City. That's where his hometown was, and that was the reason for the trade. And you start finding like new leadership. You bring in a coach named Owen Coyle, who's honestly a subpar coach in England. They bring him in because they're like, hey, it's a European guy. Maybe he can bring some different style. But it's actually been proven that a lot of European coaches don't work out in the MLS. Well, unless recently there's some actual coaches from Europe that actually are working out. But at that time, most of the coaches that came from Europe didn't really work out. And then now with Wilmer Cabrera, he's building the pieces. Coach, so a lot of the guys like him. He's definitely using a lot of the youth in this team. He's definitely wanting to make that the statement of wanting to develop young and to develop them to be a well-knit team. Kind of going back to what the Dynamo once were, which was their chemistry was just off the charts.
So, what would you say is because you mentioned styles earlier, and that's still something I'm trying to learn as far as, you know, what's going on with that. What would you say was the difference in style was from the first coach to the new who we have in charge now?
Dominic Kinnear was very structured. He liked discipline, especially in the defense. So with him, and he had probably arguably the best tandem at center backs with Jeff Cameron and Bobby Boswell. He just had a great defense, always had a good goalkeeper. And when you had guys he had also always had a creative midfielder that can create goals for the guys up front. But, I mean, ever since then, they kind of just trickled down. But Wilmer Cabrera is definitely trying to bring that back that he brought in for the defense. There is building up a chemistry in the back four. Like I said, it's just a process, especially right now because of the thing is that DeMarcus Beasley's up there in age, and I don't think he needs to be starting anymore, to be brutally honest, even though he's a U.S. legend. And AJ De La Garza, I mean, he still hasn't came back from his ACL injury, and whenever he comes back, I think this defense will look completely different because he is a leader kind of guy. Definitely a guy that I think will turn around this defense.
Okay. Now, I want to ask some other questions. Maybe not so directly sports related. Now, I know you've done some duty with the Rockets. Even though that ain't your team, we ain't gonna get into that. You know, it's still all love. And you've done some duty with the Astros, man. I'd like you to give me some insight and give the people of Sauce Nation some insight. Like, what goes into a typical day? Say, let's start off with the Rockets. What goes into a typical day that you may have to do a Rockets game? I mean, what all is required of you?
So most of our games are usually like around 7 during the regular season. Playoffs was a bitch and a half of just having to be there at 8. Having the game be at 8 and then not go home till like midnight. But it depends. We'll come in like around 2 or 3, depending on what's going on exactly that day. From a marketing standpoint, because that's what I actually do for the Rockets. It's just setting up Skycore, which is the little area. Or, for instance, sometimes they put me at the 50-50 raffle. So, I did it twice, and those were pretty chill times because I was in the Lexus Lounge seeing, like, Andre Johnson and Jacoby Jones. I saw, Tillman Fertitta drunk as hell. That was really funny story about that. And so, like the equipment for the 50-50 raffles, I'll set up the TVs that, like, where you go, to donate to the Clutch City Foundation. And, I mean, there's always some new thing that they want us to work. So one of the things that we did also was we had to set up a shoe giveaway. So, like, if you donated to James Harden's foundation raffle to get a free pair of James Harden shoes, which was the Volume 1, because, they're not going to do Volume 2s anytime soon yet. It just depends what you're getting done. But I'll be there, like, at 3, and then I'll go maybe to, like, I'll get off, like, at 11. So, a pretty good shift.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the playoffs was a lot more demanding because, every game there's a giveaway, whether it be a rally towel or a glow stick or having somebody yell at me telling me that T-shirt, and my response is always like, well, I'm glad that you can notice that. and then also the morning to put shirts on every seat.
Oh man.
And
how long does something like that take?
So they've told us like the longest they've ever done shirting, that's what they like to call it, takes like 5 hours. We actually got it done. I think the quickest we ever did it was in 2 hours.
Okay. Putting in work already. Brad, talking about playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. Now, playoffs and in that atmosphere, in that arena, and we know what we're talking about. And I don't want to reopen the wounds or anything like that. They may not be as deep for you because we know who you're rooting for, but it's
it sucked.
No, man.
So,
what was the atmosphere like in that arena after Game 7?
Quiet. It was like everything was just quiet. We were watching like we were jinxing whatever we did on Game 5. We made sure we did it on Game 5. So we were all like, sitting in our same spots, doing everything we did exactly, watching the game. And once we noticed that we were losing, changing our scenery.
Yeah.
And it just sucked just because you're this is like James Harden's time to shine, and you're like waiting for him to do it. Be the man, and then he makes this weird pass to Trevor Ariza that he wasn't even noticing. And it was that when I saw that play, I walked out. I was just like, I need to go somewhere. I was serious, like. Man. Especially, I know it's weird, like being a Lakers fan, growing up, like watching the Lakers and all that. Be a part of this team is a whole different attachment. I got attached to this team. I love this whole Rockets team. Cool dude. Chris Paul, even though he got mad at me because I was making him sign autographs, like he wanted to go home for Thanksgiving.
I can only imagine because just some of the little antics and shenanigans that he does. He seems like one of those guys. Like he's definitely a guy you want on your side, but he just seems like one of those guys. I think about the little Kerr incident and the shimmy and just the little things that he does. He seems like he could be a bit of a I don't want to say a pest, but he's just definitely one of those guys. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but you can definitely tell by his personality. So in comparison to working with the Rockets, now you got to be a part of a winning organization too, and that's not saying the Rockets did a bad. They had a good season. Let's not, it's one of their best regular season of all time, broke all kind of records and all that stuff. So let's not act like it was just horrible. But to be a part of an organization that won it all. Now, how was that vibe, and how is it different working with the Astros? I know, it's of course a different atmosphere, different environment, different field, and all these other things. But what is the primary difference that you see in being with the Astros as compared to working with the Rockets?
Astros, every game was sold out. That was the craziest thing I ever saw, was just seeing the whole Astros fans. And I mean, you had the team people that actually came and traveled to watch the team move. And it was just a fun experience. You could feel the energy just amongst the crowd, and especially in that Dodgers Astros World Series, man, it was a heart attack. I felt like I was literally watching the best World Series I ever got to witness, be a part of. And the thing that I was so disappointed about, as far as the Rocket push, was just the initial games weren't as packed as I would hope it would have been. Showed, and I'm pretty sure you can see it on TV too, especially with the T-shirts. When you see like these rows of T-shirts just hanging out, and then you see people sitting, and I'm just like, it's a playoff basketball game. How are you not coming to a playoff basketball game? Exactly. But I understand tickets are ridiculously expensive in the Rockets, and I don't understand why. But it just sucks that we weren't able to provide a full crowd like the way the Astros did. But I mean, when it came to the Golden State Warriors, it was a packed house. I mean, I think it was just because no one really wanted to see the T-Wolves, and no one really wanted to see the Jazz. I think is the reason why. And especially when you're going to the Western Conference Finals and you're going to go up against the Golden State Warriors, it's more of an appealing matchup. And I mean, to go to 7 games. Charles Barkley can straight up eat a dick for that whole, Golden State Warriors in 3 games. But I don't think the Rockets fans can be mad at this series because you went to 7 games underdog, which didn't make sense to me because you're the first seed.
Exactly.
But I mean, it is what it is, and I mean, you shouldn't be disappointed by this performance. I think it was a good one, and hopefully they can bring back the same guys, bring in, some new talent, and do it all over again, hopefully with a championship.
Okay. So speaking of talent, speaking of, possibilities and options, we've heard lots of rumors in the rumor mill, and I ain't going to pester you too much more about your life and work, but I want to get some of your sports opinions too, because I know I've been kind of grueling you on a bunch of, just kind of so things. I want to get your opinions though also. I want people to know how you feel about some of these things. So we're going to address a couple of things. The Rocket situation coming up, there's a lot of people talking about big name free agents. A lot of people talking about LeBron, Paul George, or there's other possibilities. The rumor about Chris Paul only wanting the max, and that's not neither here nor there. But Chris Paul does have a history of, like I say, being the president of the players union, telling guys, hey, go get your money, man, go get a max deal because these owners have plenty of money, and if you can get your money. So that's why I lean in the fact that it may be a rumor, but I'm kind of leaning like I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case. But for these guys to put something together, and I feel like he could smell that ring, that he knows that if he would have been able to play that game, or those 2 games, that we're talking about easy Rockets victory. We're not worried about 30-something missed threes. We could talk about the bullshit that went on in that, but in the end, you had enough up and looks to make those shots to win that game. But who do you see, or what do you see happening with the Rockets roster? So when the season opens up, when next season starts, who do you see on this Rockets roster? Who do you see leaving? And I mean, how do you see that roster being compiled?
Well, for starters, I really don't think Chris Paul wants a max deal. I think he's a logical guy. I don't think he's, especially with his age, I don't think anybody would even take a flyer on a max contract unless you're ridiculously desperate. Case, then you're not chasing a ring. That's if you're chasing a max deal, you're not going to a good team. And so for Chris Paul, I think his best chance to win the championship is here in Houston. For guys that To me, though, the big thing that the Rockets should do is definitely try to re-sign Capella. I like Capella. I think better and better every year. And I mean, yeah, Phoenix is trying to make a max deal, but Tillman Fertitta is willing to fucking go broke.
Yeah.
to make sure that this team comes back. Not only, I mean, looking for to add new additions. I know that they're actually pushing hard for Paul George, which I'm actually not against that move. I think Paul George would be a good complement to what James Harden and Chris Paul already has. If they can somehow keep the bench, maybe get rid of Anderson.
Yeah. please get rid of Anderson. Oh man. But yeah, the thing I didn't know about Phoenix, though, I heard a lot of people have mentioned Phoenix, but I think they're going to pick up old buddy, man, and he's what 7-1. Who's that? Ayton, coming out of college. I've heard he's met with them, and he basically said, he's not meeting with any other teams, and even though he said they didn't tell him that they're picking him number one, he just feels that way. But I'm pretty sure they told him and just told him not to go out and tell the whole world that we're going to pick you, because there's nobody's just not going to try out for any other teams, and not going to visit any other team when you're in the NBA draft. We're talking big money here, so I'm not too worried about Phoenix. To me, that seemed to be the main competition. They've been talking about Capella since we've been beating their ass all year. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. Like I said, I also hope that they retain him too. And Paul George is also a guy that I would like to. I think I prefer the Paul George over a LeBron James. Now, I'm not knocking what LeBron can bring to the table, but it's everything else that comes with LeBron James to me that it makes me wonder about the chemistry, how it'll affect the chemistry on this team. I think Paul George, I don't think he's a guy that'll upset the apple cart, if you will. Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Voodoo. We're gonna let's get that in real quick.
Vote time, Honcho.
I did tell you guys that I got a couple of logos that I've been looking at, and so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna set up a poll. So don't start voting yet. I'm gonna let you guys see them first, and I'm gonna leave them up, and they'll be in order 1, 2, 3 from left to right when I put them up, and then I'll put a poll up there, and then what we'll do is we'll just take the vote from the poll. So whatever one wins the vote from the poll, we'll we'll go with that. So give me 1 second. Let me get that tooted in the boot. I'm glad you reminded me that, Voodoo. And if you guys have any questions for Hector, you want to text the sauce line, I'll open up the calls here in a little bit. And, if you guys want to call in. Let me do that. Is there anything that you just had particularly on your mind that maybe something that you wanted to speak on that was just kind of that's going on in the city that we hadn't had a chance to address at the moment, Hector?
Not really anything off the top of my head. I mean, right now the Astros are actually about to start playing against the Rangers. I think that now there was I guess there was a delay or something, so it'll probably be a late game. But it's the Rangers; they're just god awful this year. So
yeah. I remember they were talking a lot.
Speaking of the Astros, though, I think more and more, obviously as soon as the Astros signed, not signed, I guess traded for Garrett Cole, and he just again just proves how right the Astros were in making a move for him. Because I mean, I think he was like the third pitcher in the rotation to. Guy, Dallas Keuchel went all the way down to 5th, in my opinion. Pitched complete dog shit. It's unfortunate. I think it's just games haven't been working in his favor, but you definitely see what Garrett Cole is. And I mean, this guy could possibly win a Cy Young, which is pretty huge. I mean, he's got to compete with Verlander, who's not only as good but better. So it's interesting what's going on with the pitching staff at the Astros, because I mean they're pitching staff in the MLB, and it's not even me just being a homer. It's just like I said, they're the rankings that shows it that they're first in category right now.
Okay.
It's definitely fun to watch the Astros team.
All right. So speaking of Astros player, and I saw a name a lot of people were mentioning early on. What's the deal with Giles?
He is a closing pitcher, supposedly, that likes to punch himself in the face when he fucks up. Yeah.
Oh, goddamn.
I find oddly unique about him. But it's weird. He's a weird guy. I mean, I knew that from the first time I actually met him. When the Astros won the division last year, he was just weird during the whole thing. Like, you know, everybody's families were up on the field, like, you know, they're all cheering and all that stuff. Which I don't blame him. Like, you know, instead of like shooting the beer out at everybody, he decides to, like, you know, pour it on his face. And but he's just stumbling around like with a weird, like, pervy kind of smile. Not like a you know, it's just weird. And I'm just like, I just looked at him. I'm just like, I don't ever want to have his life. I don't know why. He could be the coolest guy I ever met, but like just seeing the way he was, I'm just like. But you know, right now, the thing that's weird about Ken Giles is that when you put the stat is he's the best at a game-saving situation. Astros are up by either 2-1 runs, but when they have like a comfortable cushion, like I'm talking about like 7 runs, this dude will fuck it up somehow.
Yeah, can't be having that. Can't be doing that.
Because I'm like, and then he also kind of struggled in the World Series. Cost us maybe like an early World Series. You know, we could have probably finished it in 6 games versus. But that I won't. I don't regret anything from that World Series. But I mean, Giles, more and more, you know, you keep looking at the price that they put on him for when they signed him, and then the fact that he won his arbitration case, ended up getting like $2 million out of that. It's just kind of like, you know, I want him, and we can't necessarily get rid of him because it's too much money. But the benefit about the Astros bullpen is that you have actually a few guys that have experience that can actually go more than 1 inning for you. Because most of the time when it comes to bullpen pitchers, come in for 1 inning and then you go put in another guy. But the fact that you have guys like Chris Devenski, Brad Peacock, Colin McHugh, they can go a lot longer. And I think Hector Rendon has actually earned himself a role as the closing pitcher, in my opinion, because he just goes in there and he knows how to throw the ball right.
Okay. So yeah, here's the thing is that the logos that I'm telling y'all to vote for are above my head. Let me make sure. Let me see how much time is left in the majigger. We got about a minute or so left. So these are the 3 that I'm trying to keep it kind of. I'm trying to do something a little bit different. I'm looking for a badgy, older kind of look. I don't want it to look too much. So, like I say, 1, 2, and 3 in that order. The first one is the one that's here on the side on the little place where I keep the minutes at too. So, like I say, the first, second, or third, 1 vote. Pick the one you prefer the best, and that will be the new Sauce Sports logo going forward. And then that's what we'll do as far as getting the shirts and everything in order, and we'll go that way. So you have to put an exclamation point and then vote a space and the number that you vote for, so your vote can actually be properly tallied. So make sure you do it in the proper format so that say number 2 with a breast pocket. So make sure y'all do that so that your vote can get properly counted, man, and we'll see which way we're going. We got 30 seconds left, so make sure you guys get on that. And I see somebody was asking the sauce line, what is the all I need is 1 mic. The 1 mic is just letting you know what the even though for some reason it doesn't count the super chat, it only does the donations automatically, so I'd have to go back and count those in. But that's just letting you guys know what I said, that I try to be more transparent as far as, you know, letting you guys know where the donations are going, what they're going to be doing to help the sauce and stuff like that, you know. So that's just really all that is. That's just to let y'all know kind of where we're at. But it's actually, it should be a bit more than that, but for some reason it doesn't automatically take the super chats into account. Okay, so let's see, everybody looks like vote number 2 won, and then I see a couple of votes for number 2 after that. So okay, so I think we'll be going with vote number dose. So I guess we were going with the little the badge, like y'all don't like the drippy, y'all don't like the drippy city. Well, fuck you guys, that's fine, you know. Let's see how you guys want to be. But that's what's up, man. That's what's happening. But it's kind of strange that it says, oh, okay. I see some of the votes were a little bit off because they put the things like that. But so say if you guys have any other last questions, anything like that. If you don't, I don't really see too many other things hitting up on the sauce line. I want to talk. Let's just talk. I want to get your thoughts on the Texans for just a bit. You know, we hadn't had a chance to touch on that, and I don't want to jump off here because I know people. That's what they really tune in for. They're just waiting just to hope for at least a couple of minutes of Texans talk. Because you all are Texans fiends. I can't lie. I'm a Texans fiend too, man. Realistically, what do you see this team doing next year? What do you think the peak is for this team next year?
I think 10-6. Best case scenario 13-3. I just look at the schedule. The schedule is just too easy for them not to have. I mean, especially with Deshaun Watson. I know, like in previous years, especially in my videos, I've been a real stickler about the offensive line, but this is actually the first time in Texas and I'm not worried about the offensive line. I mean, there is concerns the offensive line should be better, but I just feel like with Watson's mobility, you a little bit relieved. So I don't know about Super Bowl champions will be highlights, but definitely make the playoffs.
Okay.
And I think definitely I think this team, as long as they stay healthy, I'm gonna say like hopefully anyone has a good year, but if he gets hurt, I think Davion Clowney alone defense, and I mean now we got Honey Badger. Well, definitely, I've heard a lot of good things about Justin Reed and just that whole group in general. I'm not gonna know until we see the product on the field. And so I have very high hopes this year for us.
Okay. So how do you feel overall about the outcome of the draft? I know that you were busy a bit while we were getting some of that in. How does your overall feelings about the draft, the free agency period? I mean, what the Texans did to improve the roster. How do you feel about that? What would you give that grade? What would you grade that?
For only having third round picks, I'll probably give it a B, and only because a lot of the guys that they picked were guys that can do more than one thing. Like Kiki Kuti, not only be a slot guy for you, but he can also be a kick returner for you. Or even the offensive lineman that they got, I can't remember, Martinez, Rankin.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say my second last name. The fact that he could play the offensive line, and I guess he could play tackle. So I mean, they definitely. I think the key word as far as the whole free agency and the whole draft was versatility. They want a guy that could do more than one thing, and I mean, I don't know if any of these guys are instant starters as far as the free agency goes, but you definitely see the guys in the draft. And the other thing that I'm kind of worried about is just that O'Brien doesn't really like Hughes that much, but if they can put out and show that they're better than the guys that are supposed in front of them, I hope they get the starting gig.
Okay. I see y'all talking crazy in that chat. Yeah, well, I'll be on the mixer tonight. Won't be a Kush Den until tomorrow. Like I said, I'm trying to keep those on the weekend. I did a Twitter experiment to see if there would be a Kush Den tonight, and the experiment did not work. So we'll just push it tomorrow anyway. Like I said, just want to keep it. Let's just keep it copacetic. Like I said, keep it on the weekends as it should be. Because like I said, I've been working on some other things during this week, trying to get that coming to life. So I'll be on the mixer tonight playing. I don't know what the fuck I'll be playing. I already fucked up the Far Cry 5 DLC. Actually, matter of fact, this weekend, what I will do, I know a lot of people have been talking about the Mads and the 2Ks. 2K is free this weekend, so if y'all want to play some 2K18, because I refuse to buy it, I'll download that and we can get some games in. If y'all want to get in some games, I'd say after the sauce tomorrow, I'll definitely be down to play run a couple of games of 2K, and we can run that on the mixer or whatever, and we can stream that live. we'll see what shakes about that. Will happen. They say, how does the Christian social media have more followers than the actual channel? Oh, you're talking about the the Christian Instagram? That's a long that's a long story involving some shenanigans, tomfoolery, and some switcheroos. But we'll talk about that at another time. But I definitely got to work on that. So that's definitely something I'm going to be implementing. Is actually tomorrow. Is I do have a plan to get a little bit more attention for the Christian. So maybe if I have some time to get that in action, maybe it'll be a very interesting one tomorrow. So. You say, yeah, but y'all have PS4s. I'm the only one with Xbox. Well, then that means I win by default, because if y'all gonna play on PS4, I get the win. I offered you guys the opportunity, okay? And if you don't accept the opportunity, then I get the win by default. So there's that. But man, outside of that, man, I don't really have too much more that I want to ask. I want to know if Sauce Nation, if you guys have anything going that you want to ask, that y'all want to talk about. Let's make sure you get that in relatively quickly. Exactly. Yes, Voodoo. I gotta have priorities. Sometimes I be almost wavering on them priorities, but I'm trying to stick to it. I'm trying to get some of that stick-to-itiveness, you know what I'm saying, applied in my life, But like I said, if you guys don't have it, hold on, we got what we go. Somebody jumped in on the sauce line. Oh, okay. Edman has been asking, what is Hector's job? Because I'm still confused. If you would like to kind of detail that for him, I think we kind of went over it a bit, but I guess so he'd have a better understanding or everybody have a better understanding as to what's shaking.
So what I do for the Rockets, I'm a marketing associate. So pretty much I just help out with the promotions. I help promote the Rockets. I go to have like a little tent where I stand out there for like 12 god awful hours. Giving out free shit and get mad at me when you want a bobblehead. I'm like, that's not a small price.
That's funny.
And but I also do viewing parties. I also help out with the community events. So random things I got to do, which I wasn't expecting to happen, was we went to a middle school that was affected by Hurricane Harvey. Okay. Paul and State Farm decided to help rebuild the middle school, even rebuild the whole library. Very touchy moment. The kids were like in the school for the first time in like ever. So what happened was I was supposed to be doing a fit clinic, but they said that they had too many people that day, so I went to go do this thing with Chris Paul. And so I'm in basketball shorts and I look like I'm doing a fit clinic. And this teacher comes up to me and she's like, "Oh, are you the coach for the basketball camp?" And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, that's me.
I'm like, sure, okay. I guess I can. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, what the fuck am I to coach these kids to do?
That's funny.
But one of James Harden's basketball camp guys showed up, and he's just like, "Oh, are you my assistant?" I'm like, "Sure, I can do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah, just tell me what to do." A lot easier. And so I actually ended up getting stuck with doing, well, not get stuck, I actually picked it, but so I had like the kids meet up against each other and try to beat up on each other and cross them over. And next thing you know, Chris Paul shows up over where I'm at, and he's like, "Hey, coach, what we doing?" I thought it was fucking weird. I was like,
"Oh shit!
You just called me coach."
Yeah. We're running laps, motherfucker. Hit the line, goddamn it.
I'm like, "We're doing one-on-one drills," and he's like, "Cool." And next thing you know, talking to kids, and I look back, and he's still there. So I'm like, "Oh, I just thought you wanted to know what we were doing." And next thing you know, I'm doing drills with fucking Chris Paul.
Man, that's dope.
That was pretty fun.
That's pretty dope. Yeah, I see somebody mentioned Rondo. Rondo doesn't quite give you what CP3 gives you. Rondo's offensively a liability. And again, like you said in the D'Antoni, I saw somebody mention in the D'Antoni system, if you can't shoot, you gonna get the boot, which is why we have to get rid of the last white rhino. Okay, good question. Edman asks, so what all athletes have you met in person?
Shoot. Well, obviously pretty much everybody in the MLB. The person I actually got to speak to was actually David Ortiz, so Big Papi. The people that I actually was excited about meeting, I met Vince Wilfork. I tried to get Andre Johnson to donate $20 for a raffle, but his whole entourage was cock blocking me. That was not cool. I actually met he was at a Rockets game. It's like a long list of celebrities.
Yeah, yeah.
Almost ran over Kate Upton with a fence.
Oh shit. Oh man.
And I was trying to set the field up for the award ceremony for the American League title. So, but I met some pretty cool people, and then I got to watch Tillman Fertitta. I guess I'll tell you the story. So I was doing the whole 50-50 raffle shit, and I was in the Lexus Lounge, and Tillman Fertitta, he looks like a risky guy, to the bar area, and for a lot of people that I guess if you guys don't know this, but after the third quarter they stop serving alcohol. That's just the way it is, and so Tillman comes in, and so Tillman's like, "Hey, give me another drink." And the girl at the bar, she's just like not comfortable with, but at the same time, that's the fucking owner of the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
Like confused. And then Tillman just says, "Oh, it's okay." He ends up hopping over the bar and ends up going and grabs the bottle and starts pouring it himself.
Yeah.
God. I was just like, am I fucking witnessing this?
Man, but shit, that's how you get into a position. Like, you got to go out and get what you want. That's how you get into a position like Tillman. Shit, go, hey, you got to take what you want, man, in this world. That's how it works.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was definitely cool people. I've been pretty blessed. I got to see Deshaun Watson do a race I guess cool. Part of that whole J.J. Watt charity softball game. You always have like the rookies do some weird, funny contest, and that's what they had. Watson and the class from last year was doing a burger, like build a burger race kind of thing.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Okay. And I see you talking about, check the numbers. Say the only thing you lose is 10 points per game, but then, but if you have to add another offensive presence to make up for him, then why not just keep Chris Paul? I mean, I'd rather. My thing is, I think Rondo brings his personality. I don't think he's very likable. Honestly, I don't think he ever has been, because I know, since way back with the Celtics days, I know him and Ray Allen had some issues, and I've heard, he had some issues with some other guys, and especially being one of the younger guys on the team is not, beefing with veterans. That doesn't always put you in a favorable light, but they were doing what they had to do. I just think that his personality doesn't mesh well with the rest of the Rockets seem like a fun-loving group. I mean, maybe you could vouch for that. They seem like they enjoyed what they were doing, like they were having a good time out there. They enjoy being around each other. It almost seems like Rondo doesn't seem like a guy that would fit into that mix. I mean, this is just my opinion. I don't know the dude personally. I don't know for sure. That's just what I perceive. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean the Rockets. A lot of similarities from how the Astros were. There were a lot of chill, laid back people. They were very cool with each other. No one that I really had an issue with throughout the team, just like the Astros were. A lot of them gelled a lot pretty good. They were all a single player from the Astros, and even with the Rockets, all of them were great. I mean, I worked with Joe Green once, and we went to back his part of Houston. We were doing this Whataburger event.
Oh, okay.
And he was talking about how how awesome it was to be the block and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. But I think I almost went to that. If I remember, I think I almost went to that because it wasn't actually too far from where I was at the time, and I think I forgot the time it was supposed to be, and I ended up taking too long and ended up missing it. Because definitely Gerald Green was definitely an asset that we love. Edmund asks, "What's your favorite football team?"
What's my favorite football team?
Yeah.
Is that like a real question?
He asked. I'm asking. I'm gonna put it out there. If y'all ask, hey, if y'all put it in a song, not everything y'all ask, but
the only team from Houston that I don't fuck with because obviously they pay me, but I'm a Lakers fan, but like I've got an attachment to the Rockets now just because working with them and got to see these guys throughout the year, and so like I just wouldn't say I'm a fan. Okay.
I mean, I can respect that. Hey, if you have certain allegiances, well, he just answered. He said, "Oops, he meant NBA team," but he just answered that. So, yeah. So, man, here's the deal. Fucking Heidi asked, "What's your favorite fruit?" Yeah, that's craziness.
Grape. Actually, no, it's a tie. It's between grapes and watermelon. But.
Grapes and watermelon. Yes. The juiciest of fruits are the best fruits. But yeah, that's what's happening. As long as you keep it real, as long as you hold it down there, that's what it's all about, man. But man, what I'm saying, man, I think we're gonna call it a wrap here. I just want to say shout out to Hector, man, for holding it down. I felt like, man, you brought a great vibe to the sauce, and you know, if y'all don't mind, Sauce Nation, I think y'all need to drop a little love for Hector in the chat, man. Just I mean, he gave us a little bit of insight on things that we don't normally see. Most of us don't have access to that, and I think it was very enlightening, man. I just want to say thank you, and I sincerely appreciate you, taking the time. I know we've been trying to get it going, but like I said, Hector's a very busy man. You know, I had to take a number, and then I had to get in touch with his people. Then I had to talk to his secretary, you know what I'm saying? But finally we made it happen, and I'm extremely glad it did. And hopefully we can do it again soon sometime, man, because I sincerely enjoy the Sauce Sports Insider, Hector Flores. Yes, sir. You should do more streams with Hector. That's our plan on it. I definitely want to make that happen. Like I say, so whenever he has time and we can make those things shake, we'll definitely try to implement more of that. Because I definitely, like I said, I want to bring a little bit more Astros talk to the table, a little bit more Dynamo talk, and Hector's very knowledgeable about those things, and I am not knowledgeable about those things. So I would look like a complete asshole sitting here trying to do, oh yeah, fucking Dynamo gonna win it all, motherfuckers. I'm telling you. So I ain't gonna. I'll be an asshole, dude. As much as a homer as I may be, there's
speaking the southern accent, but all right.
I'm just saying. I don't think people with that accent even watch soccer. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But that's definitely, what I'm saying. I'm just saying. Definitely want to make more of that happen, man. So, but with that being said. You say all the way up to a football season, then it's straight football. Y'all already know how football is king. Y'all already know what it is. There's just no stopping that fucking monster.
My TTC continue, so I'll probably be more committed to that.
yeah, man. Hey, and make sure. Look, hey, let me put that link in there because the links have been going through. So y'all have no excuse. Let me pull it up one more time to make sure you guys go subscribe to Hector's page, man. Show Heck some love, man. He's always dropping great videos, and y'all should check it out. Very knowledgeable. Like I said, gets in depth and has some good breakdowns. Where's I put that link at? Is it over here? Yeah, here it is. Right here. And actually, that's not what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Well, it's going to let me do it. Okay. And I'm going to drop this link in there for y'all one more time. There we go. And then make sure y'all go show some love, man. That's the least y'all can do. If y'all like what Hector's been talking about, and I love it, and I think it's been great, man, y'all go show some love, man. Subscribe to his page, man, because like I say, always dropping great content, man. Go and check that out. And again, like I say, as soon as we can, we'll definitely have him back on. But with that being said, man, Hector, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
I'll just back on the chat, man. You guys definitely make me laugh a lot. I started watching this stuff when I started following it. But this big thing, 7 days to the FIFA World Cup comes up. I know you guys don't. Some of y'all don't watch soccer like that. One of your own Houston Dynamo will be in the World Cup. He'll be representing Panama.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they'll probably lose every single game. But it's so much for the Dynamo, and I mean, you know what? It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool watching the whole fans and the passion that you see in that. It's just a fun time. I think a lot of people that don't watch soccer watch the World Cup, and it's just because it's different, it's unique. And I would definitely love to see people, go to more Dynamo games because attendance sucks.
Yeah. Okay.
But shout out to everything about Houston. Houston, this is my home, even though people keep saying that I'm Californian, but I was only in California for 11 months of my existence, so I'm.
California, it'll leave a stain on you. It'll just leave a stench on you. That Cali is just hard to get it off you. No, but
I got Texas, so as long as
you got the seal, then you got the seal of protection. Oh, you good? Okay.
I'm a Texas. But everything. I love everything about Houston. From U of H, and sometimes I got my. But everything about Houston, I love it, and then just being amongst people that just love the city of Houston. That's what.
Absolutely. I see Hector says, "Snap pick. Who wins the World Cup?"
Oh man, I actually made a video on this. So I picked Spain, but I could definitely see Germany repeating.
Okay. Okay, man. Maybe if like I said, if you got some time before before it gets started, or maybe maybe we can get something else going, maybe and kind of dive a little bit deeper into the World Cup since it's Houston related. If you got somebody playing in the in the World Cup, we'll figure out a way to spin it, make it sound real good. Maybe we can get something else going. If not, we'll definitely work on it. But again, I'm gonna say thank you to everybody for showing up. Thank you for everybody showing love, man, and just following through. And it's good to finally have a chance to open up some of the conversation and speak on some of the other teams in the city that deserve just as much love as the Rockets and the Texans. Because we're talking about teams that have won championships much more recently than either one of those teams or the Texans ain't never won one. So anyway, that's a whole different deal. I said a World Cup referee got caught taking a bribe. I'm sure they need to catch some of those NBA refs taking some of them fucking bribes. So I'm pretty sure they're doing a bunch of that too.
Right.
But with that being said, you're gonna post your predictions on Instagram, Heidi. Yes. But I saw somebody ask about the mixer. What time is it now? It's 8:10. Let's shoot for maybe 8:30ish. I mean, I can get on the mixer pretty early because I don't plan on staying up too late tonight. I've actually been trying to wake up early. I almost ran today. I almost ran. I got up. It was probably about 4:30 this morning. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go run. And I was like, nah, I changed my mind. I'm going back to bed. So anyway, with that being said, Sauce Nation, hey, I fuck with y'all a long way, man. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the super saucy super chat donations. I appreciate it that the fact that you guys take the time to fuck with the flavor, because time is an asset that you can never recoup. And the fact that y'all spending fucking with the flavor, man, y'all don't understand how much I appreciate that. And with that being said, Sauce Nation, y'all be cool like y'all be cool. Most of all, y'all stay saucy. Hector, I appreciate it once again. Let's do it again soon. And with that, Chuck Up the Deuce, we out.